It's bad enough we had to hightail it out of OR City with Penguinopolis. But now we're practically on the brink of war with several major powers. We were fine, even lauded by some people, until you threatened to nuke the Holy Land. The Sheik King and Chair Penguin are still at work smoothing things over with the UN. And just how do you think we're supposed to explain that little stunt at Mar-a-Lago? Oh, is that only? You shook the planet, Pen Pen. Not really my type of... Wait, don't change the subject! I'm just gonna go review an anime for now. Penguin Truth here, and it's time for another year of Otaku Evolution. Be sure to like, subscribe, and contribute to my Patreon. I've got a lot of ideas for videos this year. Let's hope I can get to most of them. We're starting off this year with one of my favorite anime of all time, certainly my favorite Gundam title, Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam. It had its work cut out for it, being the sequel to the original Gundam series, but more than lived up to its promise. But first... Previously on Gundam, following chronologically, the Earth Federation, a centralized world government that controls Earth and the space colonies, went to war with the rebellious colonists from the Principality of Zeon. The Zeon were, let's just say, a bit overzealous, occupying Earth and killing millions of people, making the Federation just barely the lesser of two evils. The Zeon had the advantage in the war at first, because they were the ones with the giant bipedal robots they could pilot called mobile suits. The crew of the Federation battleship White Base battled bravely against the Zeon, utilizing their own mobile suits to do so. The first and most powerful prototype mobile suit was the Gundam, piloted by a traumatized teenage boy named Amuro Ray. The White Base was constantly pursued by Zeon ace Char Aznable, who was really the son of the namesake of Zeon, who had been murdered by the fascist dictatorial family that was then controlling it. While fighting the Federation, he also sought vengeance against the Zabi family, which he basically got. In the end, the Federation won the war against Zeon, and assuredly peace was not broken by fascist behavior by the Federation. Surely. Anyway, Zeta Gundam takes place 8 years later, and the Federation has become paranoid by the existence of Newtypes, spaceborne people with ESP, and just plain angry at the spacenoids in general. Because of this, they organized a special force called the Titans to ostensibly root out Zeon remnants, but actually just boot stomp the colonists into submission. A boy named Kamille Bidan, who hates his name, insulted by a member of the Titans, flies off the handle and ends up joining the Anti-Earth Union group, the AEUG, rebelling against the increasingly fascist Earth Federation. Kamille comes to pilot the stolen Gundam Mark II, and then later his own designed Zeta Gundam. Hijinks ensue. And by hijinks, I mean grinding calamity.
It's always been like this. Always. Why do you have to do this to me? Why do you insist on following me, Mother?
This bomb should take care of you, Unit 3. Later.
Now, there are a lot of characters in Zeta Gundam, and it would take forever to go through them all, so I'm just going to highlight some of the key players. This will be a 2-video review, not a 3-video one after all. As I said, our central hero is Kamille Bidan, a teen boy with a complex about his feminine name. He's a bright kid, excelling in mechanical design, especially for mobile suits, but he's also an awkward, short-tempered, idealistic young man with a chip on his shoulder. He's like Amuro Ray dialed up a bit. He spends a lot of time in the first 2/3 of the show learning the hard way about war, love, vengeance, tyranny, and the so-called adult's way of doing things. Eventually, Kamille matures, realizing his place in the grand scheme of things and trying to come to peace with it. It does lead to tragedy at the conclusion of the story, but he fulfills his purpose in the conflict between the AEUG and the Titans.
You enjoy this!
What's going on? What the?
Lives are power. Lives are the force that sustains the universe. To just waste them, to throw them away without even a second thought, that's a horrible thing!
It's hard to tell whether or not Kamille is the most powerful Newtype out of himself, Amuro, and Double Zeta's protagonist, Judo Ashita. But that's a conversation for another time. Maybe if they ever dub Double Zeta. I mean, better than the Animax dub.
943. Gotcha.
Judo!
Do it!
Go, man!
Rock on! Judo Ashita. Gundam Double Zeta. Dispatching!
Speaking of English dubs, Zeta Gundam's dub is... well, I'll get to it later. Our secondary protagonist is this charming fellow, a man with the not at all suspicious name of Quattro Bagina. He sure likes the color red, but wait! His mobile suit is golden! Now, a lot of people mistake this man as Char Aznable, the infamous Red Comet, but clearly his mobile suit is not red, and Char doesn't wear a cool pair of shades and have long hair. I can see where somebody might think that Quattro is Char, or let's say, a Char. But clearly Quattro Bagina, who has never betrayed anyone in his life, is his own man. If he were Char, why would he be helping the AEUG instead of the Zeon remnants? This Quattro guy is a pretty cool customer, but he can be passionate, even angry at times. He's a little self-absorbed, but is also willing to make big sacrifices to let others succeed. Surely those wouldn't be the actions of that villain Char Aznable.
We're much better off waiting for nature to take its course.
But if we wait that long, humanity will surely bring the Earth to complete devastation.
I guess that's true as well.
Fa Yuri is sort of the Fraubo to Camille's Amuro Ray. She is part girlfriend, part caretaker, and part terrible pilot of the Methus. Fa spends a lot of time arguing with Kamille over one thing or another, but she means well, and you can tell she has a genuine affection for him and the 2 kids Quattro brings onto the Argama for some reason. She's not great in a mobile suit, but she does manage to survive a lot of battles that many more experienced soldiers don't. She has to put up with a lot, to be fair, so you could easily forgive her for her lack of competence at piloting because of just what a good, if not a bit argumentative, person she is.
Can't be sure of that.
But he's even with the girlfriend I always thought he'd find.
You think I'm his ideal girlfriend?
You're the perfect couple.
Emma Sheen is a solid character. Emma is one of the AEUG's best pilots, a competent soldier with skills and confidence. She was previously a member of the Titans until she realized she was on the wrong team and defected to the AEUG. She pilots the Rig Diaz through the first half of the show, but when Kamille trades the Mark II for the Zeta, she takes up the Mark II and its Super Gundam upgrade. She also serves as kind of a mentor or at least older sister figure for Kat Kobayashi. it doesn't work out well. But that's okay, because Emma is still awesome.
Come out!
Rekkoa Lund is complicated. Rekkoa is a bit of a controversial character because some of the action she takes in the second half of the show. Rekkoa was a freedom fighter during the One-Year War, fighting the Zeon as they attacked the other colonies. In the present, Rekkoa starts off as kind of a secret agent for the AEUG, infiltrating dangerous areas to gather information. She is the initial pilot of the Methus before it's given to Fa, and is fairly good in a cockpit. But her recklessness streak and desire to be comforted leads her into being drawn into Paptimus Shiroko's orbit. Without saying too much, this has earned her the ire of many viewers. I kind of understand where they're coming from, but let's not pretend Rekkoa wasn't all about the thrills to begin with.
Promise that you won't become the kind of woman that I am, Fa.
Okay. But I don't know what you mean by that.
You'll know soon enough.
If you say so. Bye.
This room isn't waiting for anyone to come back to it.
Let's take a look at some of the villains in the series, the Despotic Titans. They may be a group of fascist thugs, but damn if they don't have style. Jared Mesa is a loser's loser. The first thing that happens to him is getting punched in the face by an angry teen. Things do not get any better for him afterwards. As a Titan, Jared is a pretty typical strongman. A douchebag who believes that might makes right and compassion is for losers. He takes part in awful operations like colony gassing with little compunction. But Karma's a bitch because anybody he meets who he comes to respect or love is eventually killed in battle. By Kamille. And Jared himself is usually pretty humiliated in combat. If he was any bigger a loser, he'd be Ko Araki. At least Ko got the woman at the end. Jared gets, well, you'll have to see for yourself.
I said I'd be by your side, Jared.
Bascom is the field commander of the Titans. He's one of the most cruel, intensely unpleasant men in the Universal Century timeline. He takes pleasure in the suffering of the colonists, apparently because he himself was tortured by Zeon soldiers during the One-Year War, though this information is from secondary sources. He is very impatient and violent towards his own subordinates. He is especially dangerous once the Titans commandeer a colony to make a giant laser weapon. The man makes fellow Titans assholes Jamaicon Danigan and Gaddy Kinsey look like good guys. In fact, he's probably worse than Titans leader Jamitov Hyman. Yeah, that's a real character name. He's the kind of guy you can't wait to see get his just desserts.
I'd like to wipe out Granada right away, but there's not enough time to move Grips 2 to the firing point. It is possible that the Earth Federation government might reverse its decision and revoke your mandate.
I've taken steps to ensure that the Assembly never considers such a ridiculous motion.
You don't seem too confident.
Are you saying that such treaties are not worth the paper that they're printed on?
We can't leave Shirako in charge of this. He's a snake in the grass. I'll go myself.
Speaking of unpleasant, we also have Yazan Gable, one of the most brutal and sadistic pilots in the Titans' arsenal. Yazan, along with wingmen Dunkel and Ramses, create chaos on the battlefield in their Hambrabis. The man is almost animalistic in his fierce deadliness, but is quite popular in the fandom for his talent for piloting and ability to kill named characters and still survive. At one point, he even teams up with Shiroko, whom shares his fierceness and appreciates his skills, despite having a more intellectual bent. Insane and evil or not, you'll always have an entertaining time watching when Yazan's on screen. The man has a certain pizzazz to his cruelty.
There's nowhere for you to hide.
Sarah Zabiarov is one of Shiroko's close subordinates and protégés. She's a new type that Shiroko has molded to suit his purposes during the war. She has keen Newtype insight, but is herself a bit naive, even though she can also be duplicitous. She pilots various mobile suits that Scirocco has designed, and is a decent pilot, but perhaps not in the same league as Kamille, Quattro, or Yazan. Underneath it all, she is a pretty typical teen, who may have become an ordinary girl if she had never developed her Newtype gifts or met Scirocco. Kamille laments this as he's forced to fight her as an enemy. She also takes a liking to Katz, but it's a doomed relationship.
His plan will kill millions of innocent people.
Or in other words, the success of this colony drop wouldn't be in Scirocco's best interests. Tell me, are you a cyber Newtype?
A cunning and powerful foe, Paptermus Scirocco, or Scirocco, however you want to pronounce it, becomes a major threat to our protagonists. Scirocco was part of the Federation's Jupiter fleet, whose job it was to collect hydrogen, helium, and methane from Jupiter for energy use. It was there, working under extreme conditions, that he designed many powerful mobile suits that could work in that environment. When he returned to the Earth sphere, he joined the Titans, making a vow sealed with his own blood to remain loyal to Chamatav Hymen. But his blood seal proves to be worthless, as Scirocco has ambitions of his own. A deft and adaptive Newtype, Scirocco is a greatly skilled mobile suit pilot and has a charisma that lures people in. His exact motivations aren't entirely clear outside of a vague intention for an intellectual to rule over mankind. He's like if Elon Musk was as smart as he thinks he is. He's one of my favorite anime villains, though, the kind of guy you almost want to see win, despite being despicable. It takes a great deal to defeat this man.
The difference is what happens after that. It all depends on who rules humanity after the war is finally over. Anything can be made of the Earth sphere. Wouldn't you agree that the Earth sphere should have some kind of genius to rule over it?
And that genius is you?
I believe that the ruler of the world will probably be a woman.
Of course, there's one more important antagonist to speak of. Played by one of my favorite Japanese voice actors, it's Haman Khan. The regent to the Principality of Zeon's princess, Minerva, Haman Khan is the de facto leader of the Axis Zeon, a group of Zeon remnants that left the Earth sphere to hide and live in the asteroid Axis until they could gather enough forces to be relevant again. Axis is retrofitted with powerful nuclear engines, with which it returns back to the Earth sphere with the Zeon exiles. Haman is basically Minerva's puppet master, using her as a political tool while she pursues the supposed goal of restoring the Zabi family dictatorship and Zeon at large. Haman is a serious, collected, and confident individual, rarely losing her temper, but clearly a force to be reckoned with. Like Scirocco, she is a skilled combatant, a powerful Newtype with good pilot instincts. She pilots the odd but cool-looking Cubile, which is more than a match for anything Scirocco's built, and definitely bypasses Quattro's Hyakushiki. She is another of my favorite Zeta characters, played well by Yoshiko Sakakibara in Japanese, and even somewhat competently by Valerie Howell in the dub.
You're that Newtype.
Ah! Haman, you bring nothing but misery.
Silence, hypocrite.
We also have a lot of returning characters from the original series. Amuro Ray, who's still haunted by his experiences during the One-Year War, returns, trying to break through his fears to become a competent pilot again. It's great that they brought him back and made him significant, but without making him the focus of the series over Kamille. Bright Noah becomes the captain of the AEUG's flagship, the Argama, and hands out corporal punishments, or as he terms it, corrections, by the handful. Bright's wife, Mirai, and their children Hathaway and Shaemin are also in the show, and keep your eye on that Hathaway, he might be important later. Hayato Kobayashi heads up the AEUG's Earth-based counterpart, the Karaba, even though he's a pumpkin-headed loser. And one of the White Base's brats, Katz, now Hayato's adopted son, becomes an AEUG pilot. It doesn't work out. It's great to see some of the old gang back for this new show.
Very impressive, Kamille.
Is he like you?
No, nothing like me. But he's got more promise than I do.
Wow, that was a lot of info drops, huh? I hope you got to know the characters a little, if you don't already know them. I guess I can stop part 1 of this review right here and take a little break. Zeta Gundam requires quite a bit of time to cover. I don't want to leave anything out, after all. So with that, join me next time for part 2, where I'll talk about factions, favorite scenes, and why the compilation movies suck. Until then, see ya!
I shall be true to my word. The proof of our might will be forever etched in your minds.